Style takes too long. I can't fit anything. I have nothing in this closet. Oh, I'll just stay home. I need to purge my closet. Oh, but not that dress. Yo, Taylor here. If you ever thought to say one of these phrases, then this show is for you. Join me at the Style Table, where we'll have candid and fun conversations about real women's style issues and wardrobe dilemmas. We will discuss solutions and ideas that will give you a big sigh of relief. You'll learn ways to save money, make money, and enrich the lives of others with the clothes in your closet. We're going to take the stress out of your style. Hey everybody, it's Yo on the Go back here at the Style Table, and I am here with Pamela J. Sams, CEO and President of Jackson Sams Wealth Management. She's going to teach us how to spend our money, invest our money wisely. She has an incredible story as to how she started this business. Welcome.
Thank you very much for having me, Yo.
So I love your story. I love your story about how when your father passed away, your mom, needed to learn how to work her finances, and that's what inspired you to help women, and that's awesome.
Yeah, great. Yep, that's basically how my journey began to financial services was 20 years ago. When I get an unexpected phone call from my mother that my dad was not going to make it through the night after he had a massive stroke. So hopping on a plane 5 days after 9/11, trying to get home to St. Louis in time enough to see my dad. And fortunately, he did not pass that night, and I got a chance to spend 10 beautiful days with him before he did pass. He couldn't speak because he had the stroke, but I knew he through his eyes that I was there with him. But as I sat at his funeral, trying to figure out what life was like without Dad, especially for us as a family, really looking at, it was 8 of us. It's 8 of us, 4 sisters and 3 brothers. But what my mom was going to do, not only emotionally but financially, coming from a household where men took care of most of the household finances, she was a little bit at a loss trying to figure out everything on her own. She wasn't like totally in the dark, as most women are. We're CEOs of our household, but we don't have that longer term vision sometimes as it relates to long-term planning and finances, and that's what happened with my mother. So I had completed an MBA in financial management a couple of years before that, had 2 kids back-to-back in graduate school, thinking I was going to go into the world of investment banking because that's where most of the money is, but having 2 young babies, that wasn't going to happen. Took a sabbatical for a little bit, trying to figure out my next best step, and then my dad got sick, and divine providence, God put me at the right spot at the right time in order to help my mother with that transition. So for the last 20 years, I've been helping, thousands of women try to figure out finances on their own, either being single by choice, divorced, or widowed, because it's a lot going on in life when it comes to your money, but being a champion for women to help them secure their financial future.
That is so awesome. My mother always said a woman should, even if you're married and you're a stay-at-home mom, you always need to have your mad money. You always have to know where the money is. Now, my mom she handled the finances. My dad was like Fred Flintstone. He came home with his lunchbox. He handed her the check. She managed the money very well. Mm-hmm. She liked to shop, too, so she spent a lot of money on clothes, too. So she was a wizard with creative credit.
Oh, yeah. We know
so you still have to be careful. You still have to be careful with that, too, because you can get yourself in a trick bag, and we learned that after she passed away. She had credit cards in her name that Dad didn't know about, but she also had, clothes. She had clothes stashed everywhere. She had clothes with tags on it stashed in between the linen closet. It was crazy. We found so much stuff. And as women, you have to make sure that you know where the money is. You have to be involved in where the money is. And I know as a single mom, oh my goodness, talk about being a wizard. I'm sure you help lots of single mothers
Of
as
course,
well.
yeah, definitely. Young single women, straight out of college, or you're really just trying to figure out money on their own, because it is a struggle because you're doing raising a family as a single mom, trying to make ends meet, being creative, like you said, with your finances, having more months sometimes than money. But how do you manage it all? What do you do? Inflation is creeping in on us. If you went to the gas station anytime within the last month or so, $4 a gallon is the norm now. So taking up some of the resources that some people would have had for, to put on a bill versus paying now for gas or even groceries. I ordered groceries the other day, and goodness gracious, I
Oh
was like, where
no.
does that go? What would have cost maybe $50 for a few items, now it's more like $100 or $150. So it's really important to budget. One of the things I really stress for women, for all actually, is making sure you understand what's coming in, what's going out, and then trying to put parameters around some of the things that you spend money on. So I know budget is one of those dreaded B words that people don't like to do, but it's a necessity because you need to figure out what your needs and your wants are, and then really try to allocate your money accordingly. Is making sure you understand what's coming in, what's going out, and then trying to put parameters around some of the things that you spend money on. So I know budget is one of those dreaded B words that people don't like to do, but it's a necessity because you need to figure out what your needs and your wants are, and then really try to allocate your money accordingly.
There's so many things as far as for women, we have so many things that we juggle. I always say that we're the masters of the universe when it comes to multitasking.
Mm-hmm.
I was a single mom for almost 15 years, and I was I didn't realize I was a financial wizard. But in that, I learned how to budget because I loved fashion. I loved to shop, but I learned how to budget quickly because guess what? My son liked Jordans.
Oh yeah, of course.
So we sacrifice for our kids. And so you have to be really creative in your financing and spending money on things that you want. You have to be very careful. And also you have to plan for education for your kids.
Mm-hmm.
All of those things are so important. So I know the tools that you have. I mean, do you have tips that you how you advise women when it comes to with their kids and how they should keep money for themselves because they need some kind of treat.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, they need something. If you can afford to give your child an allowance or maybe a little bit of a spending money. It also gives them responsibility on that. Sometimes money is, I guess, in essence, not free. So really looking at, I think a third, a third, a third always works. You're going to save some, you're going to spend some, and then you're going to give some. Usually, as a part of almsgiving, maybe to a charity, and that's what I always did with my children when I gave them an allowance. Kind of a third, third, third. What do you want to spend your money on? If you don't have the resources now, perhaps, if you want it bad enough, you would save appropriately for that. I have three children, and some of them are a little bit more spendthrift than others. As soon as it gets into their hands, boom, it's out. And I have some savers who, hey, I want something a little bit larger. I'm going to go ahead and save my resources for that particular item. But also making sure you stress the wants and the needs, and that they are giving back to charity. So they've always done a third, a third, a third. So that's what I always recommend for my clients and for anyone who has children, to teach them the value of money, and that it's one of those things they do have to allocate appropriately, get the things that they want, don't overspend, but also make sure you're a good steward of your money as well.
Well, that is some great information, and there are things that we kind of all know in the back of our mind, but we really don't execute it. always. And so it's always great to have a wealth management advisor to help you make sure that you stay on track. And actually you'll learn more, you'll make more, and you'll feel more secure by having someone like Pamela J. Sams to help you provide for your family and take care of yourself mentally, financially, because when you're stressed out about money, you cannot rest well. It's a part of your self-care actually when you think about it, when you're stressed out about money. When we come back from the break, we are going to talk with Pamela about shopping and how to be realistic about it, and how sometimes you get in a trick bag and you want to spend money and you don't know why you're buying things, and you need to stop, and when's a good time to stop. And I will talk to you about the best ways to save money and enjoy your purchases. Everybody, we are back here with Pamela J. Sams. She is here to talk to us about managing our money. We want to talk about now style, clothes, spending, what's practical, what's realistic, because you don't want to end up spending so much money on your wardrobe that if your house caught on fire, that would be it. You wouldn't have anything to look forward to. Some people like to say, "Oh, I like to see my money in my closet." I do too, but is it really practical? No. What do you say?
Um, it's one of those things, of course, as women, we love our fashion. And as men, I'm sure, they love their fashion as well. And to an extent, we have to look professional and we have to be styled appropriately for certain professions. But it's part of an overall strategy, of course, just as I mentioned earlier in the segment, is that we have to make sure we're proper stewards of our money. So someone's going to go to making sure you have your needs and your wants. Clothing, of course, is one of the basic foundations of if you look at Maslow's hierarchy of needs, we need food, we need clothing, we need shelter. But to what extent do we do that in terms of kind of the basic needs? As far back as Adam and Eve, we had fig leaves there. And so there was some type of clothing. So we do need that. And so you have to understand where your spending is. There's a lot of different things, and I'm sure you would attest to that as well, is that you can do things in a more economical way. There's a lot of publications that, I think Cosmo and a lot of the Vogue will show you how to dress appropriately within a budget. So you look at all of the celebs and you look at a lot of those things. How do you duplicate that same type of fashion style more economically that you can do? There's a variety of different stores that bring a lot of the brand names down to the masses that you can afford it. So you're not overspending, but still looking, nice.
Because I always advocate for people to make sure that you look in your closet. The average American is only wearing 20% of the clothes in your closet. That means 80% of what's in your closet, that's just money. That's money sitting there that you need to sell those clothes. The relove industry is booming. Go to your local consignment shop. Most of them are run by women. So you're supporting small business and you're supporting women in business. And take those clothes there. You'll get at least something back off those clothes. You usually like 50%. Some stores even give you 50% uh, of the sale, because they, of course, are marketing and displaying your wares, your clothes. So, it's better than getting nothing. Also, make sure that you put clothes aside to donate. Any of your gently used clothes, donate those clothes. If you're not wearing them, just give them away. There are people who need those clothes, people who may have lost a job. I always say there are places like Think about it. If you're a woman who is surviving domestic violence and you're running away in a hurry, man, find a shelter that helps women who are survivors of domestic violence, because their kids are there. They need clothes. Give those clothes away. Think out of the box. Perhaps the kids who are leaving foster care, who have aged out of the system. They need clothes. They need a start. They need to get a job. So those clothes that you have that are gently used can go to a lot of good organizations. You can, depending upon your tax situation, and I'm gonna defer to the expert here. Um, you may be able to write some of those clothes off, those donations off, right, to help you, uh, increase your tax write-offs. And that's another way to gain money, uh, put money back into your pocket with tax write-offs. So, and like you said, there's so many stores. There is nothing wrong with going to TJ Maxx. There's nothing wrong with going to Marshalls. There's nothing wrong with the online consignment stores, Rent the Runway. There's so many ways that you can save money by not impulse buying.
Hmm.
A lot of women, we get caught in impulse. Listen, you've been in that TJ Maxx line just checking out. You're still shopping
Exactly. And
all the way
you're
through.
shopping, and they put it there for a reason. It's a marketing strategy. Is that all through that line, you see all of these different things that you're like, oh, that looks great. That looks great. That looks great. And all along, by the time you get up to the cash register, you've taken on maybe five or six other things that you hadn't meant to. It's a psychological thing in terms of an impulse buy. But just like you had mentioned, is that a lot of times, like you said, that 20% of what we wear, or you may have, either got a size smaller or a size bigger, unfortunately. And some of those clothes you're not going to wear ever again. And so holding on to it, like you said, maybe donate it to an organization where they need clothes. Or, there's a lot of apps out there now where you can sell back clothes, where you can get a little bit of extra money as well. I have clients who retire, and so they're not going to use half of the wardrobe that they have now as when they had their careers. And so I had a couple of clients who really had really nice suits that they donated to Dress for Success and other organizations that could use those items as well. So, and then of course they had mentioned before, you do get a little bit of a tax write-off for donating to clothes to charity as well. But you do also want to consult your tax accountant to make sure what that may be. But either you're going to get a good tax write-off, or resell those back either through a consignment like you mentioned before, or through one of the apps. There's a variety of different ways to do that. I have a lot of clients that are into shoes, and shoes are one of those items that if you have a lot of them, people are looking for, gently used shoes, and or a lot of these apps that you could sell those back. The red bottoms out there, those have
Oh,
resale
yes.
value. So if you're not using those anymore because you're not in the workplace, or you're just not going to, you can always resell those back at value.
Yeah, because those heels can be, after a while, for some of us, like I am totally, literally selling or swapping or donating my higher heel shoes because I'm just not that into them since COVID. I'm just not that into them. And they're beautiful, and people were paying. You're getting some ROI, especially on those designer bags. You're getting some serious ROI on those when you sell your Relove bags to stores like the Real Real online, or um, Poshmark. You're getting some real money back, which is really, really exciting. So if you're not using those bags, just sell them, get the money, and reinvest that money.
Exactly.
You could just take, I mean, it would be interesting to me if you took that money and then once you're like, I talk to women who are like selling like a couple $1,000s worth of clothes.
Mm-hmm.
And you take that money, man, and what could they do with an extra $2,000?
Of course, just putting that away either for extra cash reserve, for emergency fund, or invest it if they want to, either get into the stock market or, maybe some mutual funds or something like that. But at least you're utilizing it and it's growing for you, versus, like you said, sitting in your closet and not really getting the ROI that it needs to, either funding additional resources for retirement or your child's education. It could go a long way. But I want to mention, you had mentioned kind of, the bag situation. And I get that a lot of times is that we as women, we like our nice bags and that's fine. But one of the things you do need to consider, and I heard this a long time ago and I do agree, is that if you don't have enough money to put into that bag, do not buy that bag. Do not
Right.
stretch yourself where you're trying to afford some of these designer bags and you don't have enough resources to actually put in that bag. So if you're in a position to, I'm not knocking anybody buying any of the designer bags, but make sure you're not stretching yourself too far either, trying to afford things you may not necessarily be able to afford.
Exactly. What great advice you have. There's money in them dar closets.
It is.
Take that money and reinvest it in you. 80% of those clothes you're not even wearing anyway. You guys, invest it. Take that money and invest it. Create a savings account or like she said, like Pamela, what are there any places in particular that you would suggest?
It depends on where people are and what their particular goals, financial goals are, will determine where they need to invest. But there's a lot of different apps out there for people who are just getting started, and Robinhood or Stash or Acorn, some of those smaller places. If you are new to investing and you don't want to take too much of a chance, or if you're working with a financial advisor, they may be able to really direct you on your particular customized investment strategy and what you're trying to achieve financially and where you need to invest.
So this was an awesome show. I always love saving money and making money off of clothes. And I'd like Pamela to please tell us, how can we get in contact with you, because we all need you.
Great. Everybody needs somebody to talk to, right? So people can follow me on social media. I am on Facebook and Instagram. It's at Jackson Sam's Wealth. That's Jackson Sam's Wealth. If anybody's on Twitter, it's Jackson Sam's WS, because they limit the characters that you are allowed on Twitter. So those are some of the resources to reach me. And of course, you can always visit my website at jacksonsams.com. It's a wealth of information on different terms, different strategies, how to get in contact with me if you want to take advantage of one of my 30-minute consultations. I do give that away to really just talk about your particular strategies and what's on your mind financially to see if I can help. So those are some of the ways to reach me.
Awesome. And of course, you can reach Yo Taylor at the Style Table LLC on Facebook, Instagram, LinkedIn, or at thestyletable.com. You can also find me on ourtv.network on Thursdays at 5:30 or on YouTube at the Style Table LLC. We look forward to seeing you guys next week. Thank you for tuning in and listening. Bye-bye.